Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order and begin with our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the ground on which we live is the traditional territory of Caldwell First Nation, of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the original people of Point Pelee and Pelee Island and its surrounding lands and waters, and that of the Huron, Wendat, and Wyandotte peoples. We recognize and respect the First Nations who are stewards of the land and waters of Turtle Island and who have embraced this stewardship since time immemorial. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of other nearby First Nation communities and all original people across Turtle Island. If we can get an adoption of our agenda for the March 10th, 2026 Parks, Rec, and Events Committee meeting. Moved by Councillor Segan, support by Councillor Richo Spagnola. All in favor? That carries. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? None. Councillor Reynolds, none. Okay. Adoption of minutes for the Parks, Rec, and Events Committee meeting dated November 25th, 2025 be received. Moved by Councillor Carrick, support by Councillor Burns. All in favor? That carries. Items for consideration. Item 1, the 2025 and 2026 LaSalle Strawberry Festival. Our Director of Culture and Rec, Ms. Finero.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Your Worship and members of Council. As noted, this report is with respect to both the 2025 Strawberry Festival and the 2026 Festival. I wanted to start by noting that there is a discrepancy in what was originally reported to Council in terms of a small deficit from the 2025 Festival. It was originally reported that it was $1,263. However, following a full year-end reconciliation, we've confirmed that the actual deficit is $6,887, which is what was higher than what was previously reported. In order to meet the timelines for the Parks, Recreation, and Events Committee reporting, we tried to get a report together quickly after the festival closed in 2025. Unfortunately, we didn't leave ourselves enough time to ensure that all of the invoices had been accounted for. So to prevent this from happening in the future, what we are proposing is that immediately post-festival, we will send a summary to council by way of email, just highlighting what the attendance was for the event and some high-level overall operational notes. And then we will bring a comprehensive report in the fall that includes the financial statement and overall costs and expenses for the event. With respect to the 2026 event, costs do continue to rise in terms of essential items such as fencing, our tent rentals, and security services. And administration does understand that that council and the committee does not wish to increase the fees for admission to the festival, which does not leave us a lot of avenues in terms of increasing revenue. We did have sponsorship perform very well in 2025. However, we've heard from a number of other community event organizers who do third-party events in the community that overall sponsorship is trending downward. So we don't want to rely upon that just as a way to offset the increased costs. So in order to balance the budget for this year's event, we are recommending that we reduce the expenditures by eliminating the thrill show entertainment, which is typically the high dive or trampoline show we've had, type events we've had in the past, which would result in an estimated savings of approximately $10,000. So overall, the anticipated expenses and revenues for the 2026 festival leave us at a break-even point, so $208,200 in terms of expenses, and the same for revenue coming in. This model is based on our historic attendance patterns and does assume that we won't have any significant weather disruptions. And we did want to note again that without adjustments to admission pricing, the cost revenue balance is going to be the operating model that's required to deliver this event. And that concludes my report. I'm available should there be any questions.
Thank you. Members of council, Councillor Regis Spagnola.
Thank you, through you to Mrs. Finaro. Just a question. For ice cream, I know that that's a cost. Have we looked into Chapman's or Shaw's since it's, Chapman's or Shaw's since it's a Canadian brand to get a sponsorship? Because I do know that they have sponsored similar events in communities, so maybe that's a possibility. So at least that reduces a little bit of the cost. That's one question.
Thank you for the question. We have approached Chapman's for sponsorship, and we were not successful in that request.
And then just another follow-up. In terms of sponsorships, so it was brought to my attention that a couple of larger unions and companies, what they like now is a one-time sponsorship piece. So instead of going after them, say for Last Call before fall and Strawberry Festival and any other town event, maybe do one thing, say a $20,000, I'm just throwing out numbers, a $20,000 sponsorship level, and then they get recognized at all three signature LaSalle events. That might really help with increasing to your target market of sponsorships. I know that's what I've been doing, and it seems to be working for a lot of different things, and I think other places as well. So maybe that could be an option. Just a thought.
Thank you. Councillor Seacon.
Through you, Mayor Milosh, I think it's wise not to rely on sponsorship. Even the associations that I'm involved with are finding that it's quite a struggle to rely on sponsorship to balance the bottom line. So I think that your move to look at those areas that can be extracted from the usual programming but still provide very valuable entertainment and a good experience for families is wise. So I like the fact that you've looked at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Burns, did you have a question? Councillor Reno? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is for administration. I realize this was a loss this year, and but I do recall many positive results in the last 5 years. Can we get a list of the either deficits or the revenues of the last 5? Is that possible tonight?
Good afternoon, through your worship. I can speak to the last 2 right now. There was a deficit in 2024 of $2,700, and then the deficit last year of, 2023 was $2,700, 2024 was $4,000, and 2025 was $6,887. I think there was a significant surplus in the years prior to 2023. It was 2023 was the year where there was a significant surplus in the year before, I believe. But we can get more information for you.
I can understand, and I remember those conversations. registrations being very COVID related. I didn't realize that we're three now in the hole. So thank you for your answer.
Councillor Carrick.
So the prior years when we had a surplus, that went into a reserve to offset potential losses for years, just in case it happens, weather or whatever. Is that the safety net we have built in?
Through you, your worship, that is correct. Our festival reserve, or the surpluses, less any losses, is now sitting at a surplus of $95,000.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Burns.
Yes, I guess my question would be, when was the last time we raised the price to get in? And I think it's been a few years ago, number one. And number two, what we're paying now versus 3 or 4 years ago in wages is 3 times as much. I think we need to look at some sort of price increase. I know it's recommended in this report that we don't do it this year. I think I can live with that recommendation, but going forward, and I concur with the other sponsorships, it's harder to get it. There's just so many events you can go to that for 2027, we have to look at raising the price somehow to compensate or make up depending on the profit or loss this year. That'd be my only comments. Thank you.
I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yes, thank you for the question, Councillor Burns. So with respect to your question about when the last time the prices were raised, I don't know the exact year. It looks like Mr. Langlois might have that information. It's been quite some time.
Thank you. So just a little bit of history. In 2011, the town kind of started assisting with the festival. We did, before that, there was no charge, but there was a huge sponsorship from the racetrack. And then obviously they no longer exist. So we lost that and we had to implement a fee. So we implemented a $2 fee in around 2012. Then we increased it to $3. And then the year after that, we just had a flat rate of $5. So since about 2014 or 15, it's been $5. And we did have some years with large surpluses. And with that, you know, I call it an upward spiral. We started having more events. We'd have the main stage entertainment. Then we'd have the BMX bikes and all those special shows in the middle. But now what has happened is inflation's caught up with us. So, you know, in the last 3 years, Mr. Ferraro, it went from 2,700 to 4,000 to 6,800. So that creep factor, that's inflation. That's pretty much what that is. So we haven't increased our entrance fee for inflation. If we have a small increase in future years, that'll help offset that. We do have a healthy surplus that we always put in for if there's a rainy day, and that's worked out very well. And it also helps with capital purchases as well. So, you know, the financial plan has worked very well up to this point. We're in a safe zone still, but I think in future years, it probably is wise to have a small increase in the entrance fee.
Thank you for the response.
Councillor Reno.
Just one more question for administration. What is the income on the tents and the rentals and things like that? When we rent out to someone, what's the budget for that rental? And are we aware if that's gone up in the last 5 years?
Mr. Ferraro, will you have the answer?
Sure. Through your worship, the revenue that we budgeted for vendors in total is approximately $29,000. On a per vendor basis, I'll turn to recreation for that item.
Councillor Reno, can you give us the question one more time, just so I can understand what you're asking?
So what I'm asking is that, you know, our revenue for our festival comes from the gate, but also comes from the vendors that come and rent spaces from us. So I'm just wondering what the income is, because if we're looking at charging our families more, there should be an opportunity to charge our vendors more And maybe that puts this big decision off for a year until we can take a better look at the entire structure. I'm just wondering, was this a significant amount of money? It sounds like $22,000. Can there be enough money made up there to try to cover this small hole until we have a better plan?
Thank you. Councillor Ms. Finero, you want to answer this one?
Yes, thank you for the question. We have been regularly increasing the vendor fees each year with our fee schedule increases. And we have, I'd have to ask Mr. Ferraro if he could look at the financial statements, but we have experienced in a few years where there was some significant vendors coming from out of town that were no longer in business. There was one who used to rent a number of spots and take up almost an entire row, who had gone out of business, which did, we weren't able to replace that with other vendors. So it can be challenging with a festival of this size and the hours with it to recruit vendors because it is a significant investment of time. So the types of vendors that you can recruit have to be those that are specifically looking to attend, a 4-day festival where they'll be there for 12 hours at a time.
Okay, but the one that you lost that you're concerned about is not because we put our fees up, it's because they went out of business.
That's correct. I believe, to be honest, I believe there was a death in the family and that caused them to stop operating their business.
Okay, I respect that. Thank you.
Councillor Renaud, did you need a report?
I believe Tano gave us a number of 22,000. That was the number I was looking for to possibly make a suggestion down the road here.
Through your worship, the number is 29,000 is for budgeted revenue for vendors, 29,000.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I think the report is great. We move forward with what we have for 2026, but I think after this festival wraps up, we may want to consider what it looks like to revamp the Strawberry Festival. Over the years, we've struggled to get vendors. It's getting smaller. We've tried different things. Even when it comes to entertainment, we used to have some free things on the stage, whether it was talent shows and things like that. Maybe we need to go back and find more local options that don't cost us anything. But it's okay to change. And I think it may be time for us to look at some major changes with how we operate the Strawberry Festival in 2027. So I don't have any suggestions for this year. I think we're in good shape. So members of council? Moved by Councillor Carrick, support by Councillor Segan. All in favor? That carries. The next report is the last call before fall event for 2026, and back to our Director of Culture and Recreation, Ms. Finero.
Thank you, and good afternoon again. So this report is with respect to the last call before fall event. As council will recall, when we brought the financial report and post-event follow-up to council back in the fall, we did say that we would be back early in the year with some proposed options to look at the Friday attendance. We have seen over the last 2 years that the attendance on the Friday evening is declining. And so we did review a number of options. Those options included completely eliminating the Friday evening component and just transitioning to a Saturday only format. We looked at offering a Saturday afternoon and evening program. And then we also just looked at maintaining the 2-day model with adjusted scheduling and programming. So we did assess each of those options for operational feasibility, what we thought the projected attendance impacts would be, and how that could, the potential revenue with that. And we also consulted with our beverage vendors and took their input into consideration when making our recommendation. We did also there was a recommendation to consider different entertainment options, one of those being a tribute band. So we did look at the options for that. And then we also looked at an option, some options for some more interactive programming. So one of the examples that I can give you is an event or an entertainment called Bingo Loco that was presented at a local conference. However, both the costs for those didn't lead us to believe that we would be able to increase our revenue enough on that to cover the costs of that. And again, with the sponsorship, we are hearing that is trending downwards and is challenging. And in fact, last year, one of our larger sponsors did not return. So we have adjusted for that as well. So ultimately, we did sort of identify one limited configuration that we think would allow for a small estimated surplus of $2,000. So that would be looking at reducing what the Friday evening entertainment costs are and having a DJ instead of a live band. And then adjusting the paid duty police and security staffing levels to reflect the historical Friday evening attendance patterns. So last year, we staffed it with policing and security based on the hope that we would have 1,000 participants, and we didn't. So if we adjust that, we can have some savings there. So moving forward with that model would allow us to plan for the 2026 event starting now. And still maintain budgetary responsibility, but we will also still consider other options if they present themselves and looking at exploring ways that we might increase that attendance on Friday evening. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councillor Segan.
Again, through you, Mayor Malash, a couple of questions regarding your Friday option. What is the approximate cost of the bands that you've been hiring? And I'll may as well throw it all into one, the cost of sound production, because usually that's separate. We usually bring in our own in-house. And then as opposed to the cost of what a DJ would be.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Segan. The production costs we pay for the weekend, and those would be in place regardless if we had a DJ or a band. The bands were in the neighborhood of $3,000 in the last several years, and a DJ we are estimating that would be $1,000 or less.
Follow up. What's the production part of it, the sound production portion? I know you said 3,000 for the band, 1,000 for DJ. Maybe I missed that.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes, the production is sound, lighting and staging, and what's the
Yeah.
cost on that?
Okay.
And that's about $5,600.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Carrick, and then Councillor Richo Spignall.
Yeah, so I guess you debated the Friday night, and I'm okay with the numbers changing with police and the security and stuff. When we first opened this, it was basically the weekend for the college students to come over, the last weekend before they went away to college right at the beginning of September. It was a long weekend, right? The last call before fall, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it? It wasn't in October. Has it always been this?
It's always
Oh,
been
sorry,
the
Thanksgiving.
weekend after the craft beer festival was Thanksgiving weekend.
Right, yes.
And then this weekend has always been the weekend after Labor Day weekend.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Anyways, appreciate the answer and got the dates mixed up. But as we move forward, I'm not at all opposed to dropping Friday night just to make one night a super night, in my opinion, down the road. So I'm glad you at least looked at it this year. Thank you.
Councillor Richo Spignall, and then Councillor Byrne.
Thank you. Through you to Ms. Finaro. I like the idea of having Friday as a DJ. I think it gives options. Not everyone wants like a live band. And that's what a lot of the feedback is what we heard last year too, is have that option. Plus it does reduce your cost significantly. The other factor is, I like how you added that in the report about less security and policing, especially for the Friday, Saturday, because it's a high anticipated night. It sells out very quickly. But the other thing too is, for the Friday, I know we talked about this at your post meeting after last call before fall. Would we think about reducing that ticket price to $20 for the Friday just to get more people in, or just keep it at the $25 mark and just hope that the DJ will entice people to come? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So that this is based, the current financial projections are based on the current price of $25 a ticket, but we certainly could explore that option if that's something that council would like us to do.
Sorry, just one more question that I had. It was more of a comment. Can we look at, again, last year, I know we talked about at the post meeting about getting like popcorn and different vendors like that there, because I know that was a huge ask from a lot of people there. They wanted the coffee or the hot chocolate or the popcorn, and that might bring in a little bit extra revenue as well. So just a thought. Thanks.
Councillor Burns.
First off, on policing, I know Friday night, way over policed. Again, I would send this back through the mayor to our police department Why are we paying for on-duty police officers when we have so many on duty? I don't know what the requirements are, but it'd be nice to get some standard for requirements that we need. And as far as I'm concerned, this off-duty security that we hire, it's a total waste of money. They're not going to defend anything. They're not going to do anything. They huddle in a corner. And I think at one point, I was there Friday night, I think there was more of us, more of them than actual patrons in the building at one point in time. So that's an issue for me, is the amount of money we're paying for police service that we're already paying for. The second part of the question is, I guess on a Friday night, I don't know how many people would go both nights, but if you had a package for both nights, we may get more Friday night. I don't know, or even as suggested, a lower cost. But these events all tend to get old in a hurry, just like a restaurant business. So you have to try to put something new in, I think, every year in order to attract people. If there's nothing new, why go? Been there, done that, saw that. I think we do it in a lot of different things that we do. So how we get there, I think this year is let it go as the way it is. But thanks for looking at policing, because that was one of my big concerns. And I certainly like Councillor Anita's thinking about bundling our main events with a total package. And that may, from a business point of view, I'm only going to make up whatever I'm going to put in your vendors, being a sponsor, a sign or something, and I can use it for all events. And it allows me to put my image or portfolio out much more than just 2 days. So maybe that's something we can look forward going forward as well. Those are my general comments, and I don't need a response back. Thank you, Your Worship.
Deputy Mayor Capata?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I've read the report and I'm sort of discombobulated running from work. What was the number for Friday? I'm looking here and I just don't see it. Because I went Friday and I enjoyed myself. And like I say, I've said this before, it seems that this is my children turn 19 and they get to come to an adult function. So it was good. And what I don't want to see, into what Mr. Burns said, I don't want to see us lose. I don't want to see us lose money, but I think we create, candidly, a very excited, approachable weekend function. And I realize that one night's going to be less than the other, but just so I can understand, what were the numbers over the past couple of years, if you have that at the top of your head? And I'll have a supplemental based on that.
Thank you. We're just looking up the numbers for the last couple of years. It did decline year over year, and I believe last year was 500 or less, but Scott's just going to get those exact numbers for us. We could give you a follow-up email with those numbers. It was somewhere in the neighborhood, somewhere between 400 and 500 people.
Yeah, like I said, I went, I enjoyed myself. It was different than Saturday night, completely different, but it was good. And I realize that you're working on things to be fiscally responsible. I'm just along the lines of we build our brand, we get it working, and I don't want to see us take a step back. I realize the fiscal imperative and the fiscal responsibilities are there, but if there's something that you can float that will keep the Friday night, I really want it to be that weekend functionality, because it seems that even before the other function that we had that I miss, I really enjoyed, and it was the both nights as well. So if there's a fiscally responsible way to do it, I'm all ears, but I understand that you have to be responsible with the dollars that you're given, and I appreciate you coming forward with some new ideas. Thank you.
Councillor Reno? You're muted. You're still muted, Councillor Reno.
Okay, back on?
All good.
Am I back on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My comments would be similar to the other councillors or my other co-councillors in the way that you know, as long as we can look at policing and make sure that we're still following our own policy, it sounds like in the report that we can still follow our own policy and have adequate policing at a lower level. I think that's definitely a savings that we need to examine regardless. As for the DJ night, I've never been a big fan of bringing in a DJ, but I will say that I think we have a history of it working once. I recall back in the craft beer days with Councillor Akpata, where on the Friday night, we chose to not only bring in a DJ, but we brought in a specific DJ. We brought in one that threw back to the 90s, that gave people the flair of the Cadillac Jacks experience and the kind of things that people that like old guys like me and him tend to do back in the day. And I seem to remember it being successful. Again, just to put up any DJ would probably scare some crowds away, might even scare myself away. But if you were saying I'm doing a 90s night or I'm doing an 80s night, or in that case, we're bringing back Cadillac Jacks, I think that then creates an anticipation and gets people in. It just seems like right now what we're doing is we're almost giving up and saying, they're not coming. There's nothing we can do. Let's just start giving things away. And you know, after just coming back from FIO, you know, our brands are strong out there. It's unbelievable how many people I connected with that knew about our festivals, not just the Strawberry Festival because it made it up on the screen for, you know, 5 out of 8 years or you know, but they're aware that we are an award-winning community and award-winning festivals. And I just don't think it's time to give up. If we need to step back and save a couple dollars with a DJ, I can support that as long as we then market it as something more that we're giving, as opposed to people say, oh, another reason I don't need to go on the Friday night. Those are my opinions, or those are my thoughts. And I would, as Councillor Burns had said earlier, I would support staying status quo for this year, or at least giving you enough time. You know, we've got enough time in the planning cycle that you can come back with one more report that would give us a definitive answer. But at this point, I'm not looking to take things away from the festival. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. Go ahead.
We do have the numbers for the Friday evenings now.
So thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. For Friday in 2024, the total attendance was 537. And the total attendance for 2025 was at around 400. The difference is the Friday this past year had less tickets sold. We had more contest tickets, more sponsor tickets. So that's kind of the main difference from the previous year's Friday to the Friday for 2025.
Thank you very much. And of course, to make sure that I understand, because we have a maximum capacity on Saturday, we can't move numbers around, so there's no shifting of the sands. So it is what it is. All right, and just going to correct my friend Councilor Reno, it was the DJ from Bentley's, my friend, not from Cadillac Jacks, from Bentley's.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Militia?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, again, the conversation regarding this report and the previous report, I think are really important as we plot our way forward. I think, you know, there's been a couple of themes that have come out on both reports. One is, you know, the challenges with offering festivals is becoming more and more acute as the years have gone on. Our cost structure, which we have controlled to some degree, but some of the others which are uncontrollable, we're just seeing cost escalations. We are also seeing, again, just across the board, society as a whole, the need for more security. And I can appreciate that there's a balance with respect to that, both at the Strawberry Festival and at the Last Call Before Fall, as well as any other festivals we have. We do have to be cognizant of the safety of the patrons. And as we go through that, we try our best to plan accordingly. And again, sometimes the numbers don't pan out and it appears that we're over secure, if you will. But again, we depend on the advice and the guidance from the police department to help us set what those targets are. And understanding that, as our numbers come down, we are also adjusting those figures. I would also say that, there's been some talk, particularly around the Strawberry Festival, but even this one in terms of this general sponsorship. And that is something that's on our agenda that we would love to do and have a more robust and more aggressive sponsorship program. We just don't have the resources to undertake that at this point in time. And so right now, I think we have a staff member that tries to chase down as much as she can, but we really don't have a dedicated a portion of someone's job to actually go out and ferret out what the sponsorship packages need to look like and to actually actively go out there. That's one of the challenges we have at this point, and we're trying to balance our resources with what we get back. The last one I'll say is I think that the comment's been made on a couple of times is that perhaps this fall we can dedicate some time as part of these meetings to really start to brainstorm and talk about what does the future look like? A lot of times, and I'll be honest, like some of these festivals, as Councillor Renner notes, they are not, we don't put these festivals on to make money. That's not what we do. We do this as a service to the community, much like we do snow plowing. This is for something for our communities. We don't make money when we cut the grass in parks. And in some cases, we need to look at these types of events in that context. Understand we don't want to lose money either. I understand that from that perspective, but this is a service to the community. And I think when we talk about it in the, as part of the post event recap, I think both for Strawberry Festival and for the last call before fall, I think that's something maybe we should lump together and have a wholesome discussion on where do we want to be in that spectrum. We can certainly try to, and again, the team has tried to make this as break even as possible, and that's what we're shooting for. But the reality is that it's becoming harder and harder with inflationary factors. And, to Councillor Burns's point, we have to reinvent these things every so often. And so that comes at a cost and comes as part of that buildup of the activity. So there's a lot of moving parts in this, and we're trying to deliver something that's cost effective to the community as a service. I know that some view it as a business that we should not be in, but some value the service, and there is a public relations, a notoriety side of things that people, that's how they know LaSalle, and quite frankly, that's what tourism is. Tourism is bringing people into the community based on events, based on whatever that might be. And, we've heard many comments from members of council over the years, and members of the communities over the years, that we don't do enough in tourism. These are things that are tourism nature. And so they come at a cost. And unfortunately, we've been able to, over the years, we had some really good years and we had some really prudent financial planning to stick that money aside to have it available for the not so good years. But we are going to be getting to a point that we can't, at some point, as we change this festival, hopefully the changes that we're going to make are going to revive the Friday night, but we may be faced with that decision. And the same goes for the Strawberry Festival. We're making some changes in that area, but some items might, again, at some point we'll get, it's a bit of diminishing returns as the more we cut, the less people go, the more we cut, even less people we go. And so I think that's a bit of a downward cycle we don't want to be part of. So I think that the suggestion of having more of a wholesome conversation towards the fall in terms of the post event wrap up, I think that will at least set some expectations from administrations to what council would like to see.
Thank you. And I agree with those comments, just the same as the Strawberry Festival. Sometimes we have to take a step back and look at it going into the next year. I really like this event. I think it's really successful. For some reason, we all just want to go out Saturday night. Friday night, I guess we want to go home and put our PJs on and watch a movie. I don't know. But it's really a loved event in the community and it's really supported. And I think this adjustment could be beneficial on Friday because they're also, I've heard from people who go Friday, they're actually looking for more of a low key evening. Saturday, it's busy, it's crowded, the music's loud, and for others, they're not looking for that. So this adjustment might be what we need. I still don't think we're going to sell out like Saturday, but hopefully we can get the numbers up. And I do agree with the policing statement. We did take note of it last year that there was an abundance of police officers on the Saturday night, especially, I noticed. Do we need both security and police, or could we just do just police?
Thank you for the question. Our municipal alcohol risk management policy outlines that we need to have security guards who are licensed under the Security Guard and Investigative Services Act. And we need quite a number of those to be compliant with our policy. So I think if we were to eliminate those and put police in place, it would be cost prohibitive to have that many police.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And obviously, we need to follow our own policy, and we want our residents to be safe. I will make a quick comment. I know you did ask about police, why we're paying for police multiple times, and I will tell you because anybody who's attending that event, they're not, most of them are not on-duty officers. They're being paid to be there because they're not our regular scheduled staff. So that's why there's an extra fee, because it's not part of our policing budget. But I can talk to Chief about that more if you'd like more information on that. But I do know, same with the Strawberry Festival, there's the regular on-call, but then there's additional that are required, and that is not part of our normal municipal budget. Councillor Burns.
Thank you. I guess what I don't understand, and no one's explained it to me, and I've never thought until last year, who sets the standards? I mean, it's like putting the fox in the chicken coop. If it's done by police, then that's one thing. So I just like to know why we have so many, 15 of this and 4 of that, and who sets the standard? I don't know. That's why I find it very difficult when I go there for 500 people and I look at the vendors. They're not making any money. Not one vendor made a cent on Friday night. And then I look at and I start counting people up that we're paying, 6 or 7 security guards or whatever the number was. And then I'm looking at 4 officers there looking at each other, and I'm wondering what is the right mix and how do they come up with that mix? Is it 1 officer for every 400 people? Is it 1 officer for 500 people? Then I get the bill. But so when I don't understand the bill, I question the bill. And I'll always do that. So, and I'm sure even busy Saturday night, I don't care if you have 2,000 people in there. How many do you actually need? I guess that's my real question here. So when somebody asked me, which I was asked, how come you had so many officers and security people there with 500 people, 400 people? I said, I don't know. So I guess, and then my question then to the Police Services Board and to the chief, can we have an officer stop in there, a car for half an hour, 20 minutes, so we can reduce that number because they're on duty as well and they're being paid. So we're not paying, and I don't know if we pay double time, duty paid officers or straight time. I mean, those are the questions that lead to that cost that I don't have any understanding of. So I'll leave it with both your parties. I don't need a response this evening, but it would be nice to understand that. And then when we're asked, you know, as counselors in the community, and I'm sure you're asked sometimes too, we have an answer for that for them. And that's my final say. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we could just quickly respond to that. It's our policy that sets how many security and police officers are required, correct?
Correct. For security guards, it does, our policy does state that. My understanding is that our policy is based on best practices from other communities. We would have consulted with what other communities do. And I am aware there is a document that's recently come out in the last probably 5 or so years that, and I can't remember, I think it's through a public health agency, but also gives some recommendations on best practices, and we are in line with that. In terms of policing, we do consult with them from event to event that has alcohol for what they feel the safety and security concerns or risks are, and they usually advise us.
Thank you. And maybe I'll follow up with Chief and I can email council because it'd be nice to see from last year to the previous year if there was a difference in the amount of officers, because it did feel like there was a lot more there last year. I know our number, I think, also went up though, because we went from 800 to 1,000 tickets, I believe, on the Saturday night. Is that right? No? Did we increase it?
The reason there was more security, there were some security concerns shared with us from previous years. So we did increase the number of paid duty officers to see if we could mitigate some of those. And then the feedback from police after was that, based on the attendance, certainly on Friday night, we did not need that many. And that we would look at Saturday night and, some of the things that police acknowledged after in order to make the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Good. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Maybe just to add with regards to police, in our discussions with police with regards to this event and other events as well, like the paid duty police are then there for the event. We certainly could have police that are maybe attending the event that are also on duty, but if they get a call, they have to leave. So if we were to have entirely a police force of those who are already on duty and there was a call within town, they left, then we're left without police. So that was part of the discussion with the police department. And as Ms. Fernero was suggesting from this in 2024 to 2025, we did add 2 police officers, and primarily we're using those officers to also patrol the parking lots outside, because there was some people that were drinking out in the parking lot. And it was also as people were leaving to make sure they were leaving safely. So.
Thank you very much. If there are no other questions or comments, the recommendations at the report of the Director of Culture and Recreation dated February 20th, 2026 regarding the last call before fall event 2026 be received. Moved by Councillor Richo Spagnolo and support by Councillor Segan. All in favor? That carries. Item 3 is our 2025 annual report of joint programs and events between Culture and Recreation and Public Works. We have our Manager of Culture and Recreation taking on this report, Mr. Weeson.
Thank you, Worship and members of council. I'm just sharing my screen here. I have a quick PowerPoint that accompany the report. I won't go into detail on everything included in the report. I was set this presentation to hit on some high-level items. This is a regular report we bring to each committee meeting to try to provide you with an overview of the previous period. Each first meeting of the year, we do an annual report. So this will look at all of 2025. With regards to our activities, there was no change in the total number of participants. I think the net difference was 3 people from 2024 to 2025 in those registered aquatic and recreation programs. We've gotten to the point where the number of people each session coming is session over session is very consistent. The one thing that was in the report to point out is that, in aquatics, we are still over a 90% fill rate. The interesting thing is if we had a perfect relationship between those on the wait list and what they wanted and what we had available from an opening perspective, we'd be entirely full right now. So, the demand is certainly there and people are coming the fill rate is very strong. So we're going to continue to look for ways to increase that and fill as many spots as we possibly can. But from 2024 to 2025, it was virtually identical. What is not included in those numbers is new programming attendance related to our senior active living program. So this is over and above what I was just speaking on. As you know, on April 1st, we began our first year of the senior active living grant program, thanks to funding from the province of Ontario. We started to deliver activities April 1st. These are photos from our senior expo in June, which was a huge success. We had about 375 folks attend. We had 64 different agencies come from the private sector, the public sector, emergency service, municipal services, and we had great feedback from the event, and we will certainly do it again this year because June is Seniors Month. And then we also had the senior social in October for Seniors Day. And it was still very well attended, even though we had a major storm roll through right when the event was basically starting, I believe. So we're very happy with how the seniors programming has gone. The first 9 months of the program in 2025, we had nearly 3,000 people attend. Of those 3,000 attendees, 590 were unique participants. And in total, 142 activities offered. The thing that's a little bit less tangible is the stories we're hearing from people and the conversations we're having with them. And I noted in the presentation right here just a comment we received by email. And it was a woman who just said that the program has helped her get through winter and without feeling lonely. She lives alone and meeting new friends and things of that nature. And we've heard that several times. So the program has been a great success from that standpoint. By the time we're done our first year, which the province's year ends March 31st, we will be probably near 5,000 attendees with nearly 200 activities. And, we're really looking forward to 26, 27. On the membership front, we had 130,000 visits for 2025, which was up 12,000 from 2024. We're around 370 people every day from a member perspective coming to the Volmer, which was up 50. It's fantastic to see more and more people coming and taking part of the services. I've been in recreation and culture for 20 plus years, and Ms. Turnbull and I have traveled to a couple of out-of-town meetings for recreation, and I can say our facility is very unique during the day to have this many people coming throughout the day. You go to a lot of community centers and recreation centers, they're very quiet during the day. Ours is packed. And so that is our kind of primary focus right now. Our concern is trying to just figure out how we keep accommodating the crowds as they come and find space for everyone. Our average aquatic program in the morning for Aquafit is about 40 people, and that top left image is showing you, I think in there's 37 in that image. In the bottom left, that's a picture of Mara's Sit and Be Fit class. Last week, we had between 73 people in person, 11 people online, so we had 84 people attending that class. And when we get into the summer months or any PA days or major tournaments, the folks get pushed into the lobby, which is the other three images you can see. So we're going to keep finding ways to welcome everybody who wants to come. But, just wanted to share that the attendance for memberships is growing and growing and growing. And we're trying to fit them in every inch we can. Just lastly, just events. Total event days, we're up to 254 total event days in 2025, which was up from 2024. We, of course, have been talking about last call, and we do spring fling and night markets, and we have our other town events, Truck or Treat or Strawberry Festival. But we also have our Public Works Department helping us quite a bit with other events, flag raising events, other community events, third-party events, hockey tournaments, soccer tournaments, baseball tournaments, events that are third-party at the event center, car show at the event center, Play for a Cure at the Volmer. So the number of events that are coming is increasing, which is great to see, and we're really happy we can help deliver those events and also facilitate third-party events. And all of those events take a great deal of work between all of the departments. Lastly, I was just going to point out with our Remembrance Day event, great example of continuing to enhance and improve events. So we, of course, have had wonderful Remembrance Day ceremonies for many years, but with Public Works adding the crosswalk this year and strategy engagement, working with administration and the Legion to add the banner along Malden. It was a fantastic improvement to that event. And for this coming year, we're looking forward to adding a new element. We were able to secure a very small exhibit that we will have in the atrium here from the Canadian War Museum called Fighting in Flanders. So these events have gone really well, and we're looking forward to hopefully continuing to increase the number of event days we can offer within the town. Finally, just as you all know, we had new beginnings this year with the Loop at LaSalle Landing opening, certainly with the grand opening with the Rotary, then our Canada Day event and our first outdoor skating season. Our waterfront is truly a year-round destination now. We had the Canada Day event, which was attended by thousands of people. We had, a great deal of entertainment and activities for people, and of course the drone show at night. And it was another good example of all of the town departments pulling together to deliver the event, from police and fire to strategy engagement, finance, clerks, ourselves in culture and recreation, IT helping with sound. Everyone comes together to deliver these events. And of course, finishing with our last few months of this year, an excellent opening to the skate trail season. And we're looking forward to continuing to find great ways to use the loop at LaSalle Landing in 2026. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Members of council, do you have any questions? No, it's pretty straightforward. All right. If there's no questions or comments, recommendations that the report of the Manager of Culture and Recreation dated February 23rd, 2026 regarding the 2025 annual report of joint programs and events between Culture and Recreation and Public Works be received. Moved by Councillor Reno, support by Councillor Burns. All in favor? And that carries. Our last item is the spring activities update. Our Supervisor of Programming and our Supervisor of Recreation will present the report. Ms. Rafuse and Ms. Turnbull.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good afternoon, members of council. As Scott's report was taking a look at the past, our report that we're presenting to you is taking a look at the future for the next session that's upcoming for the activities and events for the spring of 2026. This report is to inform members of council of these upcoming events, as well as activities or important dates and reminders. For our spring programming, some important dates that we have for consideration or note is that our spring programs are viewable online and registration has commenced today. Spring programs will begin at the end of March, so beginning on March 29th, and will bring us through until Sunday, June 21st. We are going to be doing a skip week for the Strawberry Festival as we have historically, so those sessional programs will take a break during the Strawberry Festival as the event gets set up. The carnival comes in and those parking lots are quite busy for the festival. As I mentioned, for registration dates, we did open our registration for spring activities today to LaSalle residents. Those programs will also become available to all other individuals on Thursday for registration. And then we will open up our summer day camp registration in the first week of May. Our registration for our summer activities begins the first week of June. And then we're looking forward to opening our outdoor amenities as well. So we have the boat ramp opening with an attendant on Friday, April the 10th, and the outdoor restrooms that accommodate that amenity will open at the same time. We'll be opening the outdoor restrooms at the Valmer the following week, so Saturday, April the 18th. Sports fields are scheduled weather dependent to open the first Monday in May. And splash pads are scheduled to open the Friday before the Victoria long weekend, weather dependent. The outdoor pool is scheduled to open Sunday, June 28th, and I'll pass it over to Ms. Rafuse for our events.
Thank you, Ms. Turnbull. So as the warm weather is here, we're gearing up for a busy spring session with the return of our outdoor user groups in May and many events scheduled April through June. As council is aware, we have the following town-led events scheduled with the LaSalle Awards of Excellence, moving on to LaSalle Spring Fling. The LaSalle Night Markets will kick off in May, Strawberry Cleaning Night on Wednesday, June 10th, the Strawberry Festival taking place Thursday, June 11th through Sunday, June 14th at the Valmer Center, the LaSalle Senior Active Living Expo, and then finishing with Canada Day at the LaSalle Landing property. Before you is a list of 19 confirmed rentals and events as of the date of the report submission that will span between the LaSalle Landing property and the Valmer complex. From that list of 19 rentals and events, 4 of those are new and 15 of those are returning. And finally, we'd like to remind council of the facility closures and holidays which fall within the spring session and are included in the report before you. Available for any questions.
Thank you. Members of council, Councillor Reno.
Thank you, Your Worship. To our supervisors, I'd like to thank you, as I try to do each time this comes up, This document provides a lot of transparency. It provides a lot of insight. Excuse me. And not that I didn't appreciate Mr. Bison, his is a great memory of the great things that we've done in the last year, whereas yours is a report of the great things that are still to come. So I know that a lot of people appreciate a heads up when these things come. Sometimes they don't always catch the social media posts in the week before and the days before an event. You have done your best job to put your best foot forward and to get the word out on this report. And I typically try to share that for you. I think there's great information here beyond just the festivals and the events that I like to see. All the dates for the swimming and things like that, and the closures are all very, very important to our community. So thank you for this report again, and I look forward to the next one.
Thank you. Councillor Spagnolo.
Thank you, through you. Just a comment. So I think it's great that we have some new events that are coming to the town. It's a testament to the wonderful work that all of you offer, residents, whether they're residents or outside of our community. And I've heard some phenomenal feedback from a lot of those vendors. So great job to all of you. I do have one question, and it's been brought to my attention a couple of times from residents. I know that we promote our town events. Is there a way to start promoting our third-party events? Because a lot of residents say they're not aware if there's a night market that's not from ours, or an event that's not from ours that they would like to support. Is there a way to start doing that somehow? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We do already do that. We have protocols in place where we do ask those events to let us know when they're hosting their events. If they send us a poster, we will put it on the lobby screens, which is available in this building at Town Hall, at the Vollmer, and at the Event Center. We do have an events Facebook page, so if they have an official events page, they can tag us and we will share that on that events page. You should note that we do not share personal Facebook pages on there, so if somebody is doing an event and they're doing it on a personal Facebook page, we won't share that page. And the event calendar on the town's website, they're also welcome to upload their event. There is a bit of a delay there because we do need to approve the event before it's placed on there, but it will be on the event calendar, and we do allow that for anything within the region to be on that event calendar as well. So that is already in place, and we continue to do that going forward.
Mr. Militia?
Thank you. I just wanted to express my thanks for the members of the Culture and Rec Department, and in particular Ms. Funaro, as she's led this crew into this enormous success that we've had. I know that she will quickly say, it's not just me, there's a whole bunch of other people around us in terms of other supporting departments, and that's true. But someone needs to be the champion, and she certainly is. And so I'd like to thank her for her leadership in this area. Some members of council who have been here a while will remember the investment that we made at the Vollmer, and some of the negativity that perhaps was around in that day. And we invested in those days a healthy sum of money to create the space that has provided the amount of success that we've had today. That investment, again, in terms of return on investment, it's not like a mutual fund or GIC. You don't see the percentage rate of return, but it is a community rate of return that you see. And again, the fact that folks want to come here and be in our facilities in our town is certainly a testament to the work that everyone has done, but in particular, in most recent years, the leadership that that's come out of Culture and Rec to really develop this program. My last comment was, I can't wait to see what the impact will be after we expand the Vollmer and hopefully get some grant money for that. But certainly that expansion will only lead to more, that kind of investment will only lead to more community success and community return on investment as that goes forward. So it is really, again, a thank you to certainly Patty and her team But I know that she will yell at me later if I don't recognize some of the other members around the table. And every department helps out in their own way, whether they be Public Works, Council Services, Strategy Engagement, Finance, Fire, Police, and I'm probably missing some, which is why I really don't like going down the list. But certainly there's a lot of folks that support the events and make them happen. But certainly lots of success and lots of continued success as we've had over the last number of years.
Thank you, Councillor Carrick.
Further to Mr. Militia's comments and council support. Just otherwise, it made it happen many years ago and continues to grow. And this council and every council before it for the last several terms has been very supportive. So keep up the good work.
Any other comments on the spring activities update? No? Recommendations of the report of the supervisor of programming dated February 18th, 2026 regarding spring activities update be received. Moved by Deputy Mayor Capata, support by Councillor Richo Spagnolo. All in favor? And that carries. Any questions or statements from members of council? Or the committee, sorry. There being none, our next meeting is scheduled for May 26th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. Meeting adjourned.